We are at Agileadria 2015. My name is Marco Keba, and I'm joined by Angel Medinilla.
Pronunciation.
Crazy Spaniard.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so can you briefly present yourself?
Oh, I'm a consultant and a trainer. I've been doing Agile transformations in companies all around the world, and I'm a regular speaker at Agile conferences. I also happen to have 2 books published on Agile, Agile Management and Agile Kaizen.
Cool. So the presentation that you gave at the conference was Lean Startup for Agile Product Management. And some interesting things out of the presentation that I picked up were like, what are the black holes of agility? You mentioned that there are some black holes. What are those?
Yeah, I introduced the idea of black holes in agility because there's a lot of people that identify agility with Scrum or XP or Kanban. And if you just focus on them, then you are only looking at the execution phase, which is like, we have a backlog of features and we have to execute that. Okay, let's do it. And it describes the process of doing that iteratively. But there are several things that are not explicitly explained in these kind of frameworks. Like, for instance, how do you lead and manage companies that are formed of cross-functional self-organizing teams? That will be agile management. And then you have things like, where's the backlog coming from? We have this idea of the visionary, of the product owner, or one person that will tell the team what they have to build. But how is this figure developed? How do you build this idea of the backlog? How do you know that you are building the right product? The problem is that you might be executing very, very agile, in a very agile way, a backlog that describes a product that will be no successful. It will be no success for the company. So how do you know that you are building the right product? So that's one of the examples of the black holes that I call in agility.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that sounded really interesting was the product death cycle. What is a product death cycle?
This is an idea that I borrowed from David J. Bland. I gave a specific credit for him in the talk. This death cycle is we figure out, or we notice that nobody's using our product, and then what we do is we rush to our customers and we ask, what features are you missing? And we ask customers for features. And customers are very bad at predicting what features do they need. It's like the junk garage syndrome, where you are like, oh, I need this exercising machine, and then it ends up in the garage, you never use it. And then you are like, oh, I need this pair of skis, and then they end up in the garage, you never use it. And I need this, and I need this, and I need a new car and a swimming pool, because that will make me happy, but then you realize that that doesn't make you happy. So you start with a product that is not successful, you ask your customers for new features, you build those features into the product, you are still not successful, and you close the cycle. And that's how the product becomes a feature monster. You put things and things and things into the product only to find out that maybe 60 to 80% of the features are never used. Okay,
so I guess the Lean Startup for Agile Product Management addresses both the death cycle and the black holes that you mentioned. And you mentioned that there are 10 things that need to be done to improve the product management, and I'm just going to point out to some of those. One would be understanding value. So how do we understand value?
Yeah, that's, again, mostly everyone that I meet will say, oh, we perfectly understand the value that our company is providing, but most of the time that's not true. When you talk to development teams, they don't understand how, for instance, things like how the company is making money. And how the company is making money is not even what value are we providing to the company, to the customers. That's 2 different things. So, for instance, I give this example, which is a metaphor of a company that is creating drill machines, and people think that the value of the drill machine is to be very powerful and to be very light and to have a battery and to be able to operate it without plugging into the hole. But that's not the value that you are delivering to the customer, because your customer doesn't care about your product. The customer cares about his problem, and his problem might be to make a hole in the wall. Maybe we can do that with a drill machine, maybe we can do it with something else. Still, you think about your service, your product. Again, the problem could be, I want to hang something on the wall. And in that case, I might have a better solution with nails, or maybe with super strong sticky tape. So companies focus too much in their execution, in their product, in their backlog, and they stop thinking about what kind of problem are we solving for a customer. Even more, what's the reason that our customer is buying our product and not the product of our competitor? That's a good hint and a good tip on how to find value for your customer. And customer is the only person in the universe that can define value. We are not the ones defining value.
Okay, no customer, no value. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess what you were saying is that we are blind to the assumptions that we are making while producing something. Mm-hmm. And that was a second point that you mentioned in the presentation, was gathering and validating assumptions early. So how do we do that?
This is critical in the sense that people are committing a lot of company resources into launching projects on a portfolio phase, only to find out later, and for later I mean like 1 year time, that the project or the product is not successful. That's a huge amount of waste. You shouldn't be investing company resources into building things that you don't know for sure that are needed in the market, and needed is not a customer asks for it. That's not strong enough. So what we need is what in lean startup they call validated learning, which is like throwing something into the market and being able to measure success in the market and say, yeah, now we know for sure that customers are accepting this product. But if you have to invest a lot of money to do that, then what's the point? So what we need is early validation. Early validation is validating your assumptions on who is your customer, what's the problem that we are trying to solve, how can we solve that problem. Validate those core assumptions before you actually build your product. You can do that with prototypes, you can do that with interviews, polls, studies, observing your customer while he's experimenting the problem. You can talk to your customers, which is like a crazy idea we are introducing in companies. Talk to your customers. Try to find more about your customers. And they're like, oh, no, we never talk to our customers. We talk to our lawyers, and the lawyers talk to our customers. So yeah, early validation is about before we actually build something, make sure that there's a market for that something, and that something is going to be successful. And there are ways of doing that.
Okay, and you said that we should build metrics and goal into those assumptions.
Yeah, for instance, I see many product managers that will ask for feature after feature after feature, and they will say, the customer needs this, or our product needs that, or the competitor is doing this, and they push and push and push to the development team, and everyone thinks that development team is the people that are making the company slow, so we have to get the development team faster. But if you look at the bigger picture, you will see that these people are pushing features out to the market, and then nobody looks afterwards to see if those features are being successful, and if people are actually using those features, and if those features are making our customers happy. Maybe there was a business case at the beginning saying, if we make this feature, we will make this amount of money, which usually is like guessing. But very rarely people afterwards check if the business case was right. And if the business case was wrong, very rarely people withdraw the feature, say we were wrong, let's do something else. They just put feature over feature over feature, and that's the way we create monsters of products. So what what we are trying to introduce into the product management is when you tell the team to build something, try to specify the why are we building this. We build this because we believe that it will solve this kind of problem, will deliver this kind of value, will increase this kind of value delivery, customer satisfaction, whatever. And then tell the team, how are you going to measure that assumption? Like, if we think that this thing will increase customer satisfaction, how are we going to measure customer satisfaction? If you don't know that, why on earth are you investing a lot of money into making this feature if you won't know if that feature was successful or not? You are just wasting resources and hoping that some of those features might be successful. You have to know how are you going to measure success before you actually start building.
Okay, and you said that the measurement itself should hurt.
Oh yeah, metrics should hurt. This is another idea we import from Lean Startup, and we're trying to push to Agile product management. Metrics should hurt is it's something that it's a way of saying that you shouldn't use vanity metrics. Vanity metrics are those metrics that makes us feel good, like look how many followers do I have in Twitter. And then someone can say, yeah, what's the value of that? How much money are you making out of your followers on Twitter? And I would be like, oh, nothing. There's no conversion rate. Nobody's paying for that. But I have a lot of them. Yeah, then what's the point? Metrics should hurt. The metrics that matter are those metrics that will move you to do something. Like, for instance, when I go into a scale every morning and it says 225 kilos, and you're like, oh my God, I have to get myself on a diet because that metric is hurting. It's making me do something about it. So if you have metrics and you are like happy about your metrics, you should find another metrics, the metrics that hurt. Those are the ones that will make you improve and search for new goals. And everything we do in an Agile company, everything we do should be a conscious attempt to influence a metric that matters for us.
Okay. Thank you very much for the interview, Angel.
Okay, thank you for coming, for bringing me here, sorry.
Okay.